Alright guys, today we are gonna be reacting to what Russian cities actually look like. Jump in.
I would be lying if I said that I like the idea of living in this grey, post-Soviet blocks all my life. I was born and raised in such apartment, and this one, and then in this one, and if I would stuck in it for the rest of my life, blah. But you know what kind of changed my opinion? These doomer videos on Insta, where they show photos of post-Soviet districts, yards, and then you look at them from this side. It's not giving dull or hopeless. It's giving Eastern European aesthetic. Romanticization sustains my existence. But the real post-Soviet cities are a little bit more diverse than this picture. This is my beloved Krasnodar. Krasnodar is a regular big city in the south of Russia. Sorry for that, I just cannot resist. And it's perfect to show you where regular Russians work, live, and how much it costs. We'll start with my favorite sleeping districts. As in most post-Soviet cities, yeah, here a lot of old, grey, look-alike Soviet apartment blocks here. We call them
Yo, she have very good talent for editing. Very good.
panelki, which means panel buildings, because they're literally built like Lego from the reinforced concrete panels. These buildings are still a huge part of urban architecture in all Russian cities. About 70% of all housing stock in Russia are still buildings built in the Soviet era. Their appearance varies along with their cost and prestige. It's not like you need this information, but the Slav and me insist you know. Panelki are divided into Khrushchyovka and Brezhnevki, named after Soviet leaders. They can be made of bricks too, but we still call them panelki just out of habit because, well, let's say they all look a little similar. Brezhnevki is considered an okay option. They're newer, have an elevator, which sometimes terrifies me. The garbage chute, which usually sealed shut, thank God, because if it's not, they're likely rats. And of course, the classic Padik, painted in standard blue or green.
Hey. That's what really counts, you know? That's what really counts. That's what really counts. Yo, these kids, man.
But the most widespread, of course, my favorite old Khrushchyovka. I even got a night lettering of it. I don't know why. I can just look out of window at night and see the same thing. Such panels are older, they have only 5 floors, no elevator, apartments are super small, kitchen is just like... but it is much cheaper. Advantages of living in old sleeping areas like this, besides the cozy and aesthetic vibe, of course, is that there are always public transport stops around, a lot of shops, often a public school, kindergarten, a free governmental clinic, and the fact that Soviet people got these apartments for free. I think this advantage overweight many disadvantages. My parents told me about this, and to get one you have to work for at least 5 years in the factory, and then you have to wait 10-20 years in line, unless you was some successful scientist, sportsman, or just close to the party. And that's how...
Yeah, that's how they did it back then. The Communist Party, the Communist government. If you had to be someone of great achievement to just get this kind of privilege. So
my grandparents got the apartment. They just waited 10 years in line because they was not some scientist. They got their apartment for free, but unfortunately not in the city, but in the village. And then USSR collapsed, they just get it. I lived in this kind of apartments for many years, and the main downsides, I would say the poor heat and sound insulation. I remember every morning old man watching news on TV. How do you think did I know it was an old man? Because of his intense cough. Only grandpas are coughing like that. And to kind of solve this problem, our parents was hanging...
probably hear that very intense cough.
carpets on the wall, and I was really surprised that
wow.
originally it was for sound insulation. Only later it became a Soviet style design. Also in many areas with older buildings they often turn off the hot water in summer. Every year they change pipes and every year they cut off water, and in these small apartments there's just not enough space for a water heater. So like many Russians, I had to heat water in pots on the stove, and you know how hard it is to wash your long hair with only one pot. It's just impossible. About 5 pots needs to be heated. I hate it. Do not recommend living.
Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
After all, nostalgia, the fact that many Soviet and post-Soviet children spent their childhood here is what still gives these places a certain charm and coziness. There are always playgrounds for the children. It's really conveniently located in the center of the houses, so you can just shout at your kid from the window that it's time to go home. A lot of districts, they still have old playgrounds and it's not always safe for kids, but we as kids, we didn't really care about it. Well, since we are here now, let's have a heart-to-heart. If I were a foreigner like you, I would want to visit just a regular city in Russia, not just a fancy capital, because this is the real Russia. The real...
Hey, autumn, it's autumn, right? But it seemed like September. Let me see, when was this uploaded? 7 days ago. Damn. She probably took this a couple months ago, probably in October, and then edited it. But it looks beautiful.
Local people, and you know how happy these people are. Then the foreigner comes to them, and if a foreigner just says "Здравствуйте," the joy on their face is just priceless. And saying "Здравствуйте" is pretty easy if you're watching Russian TV and learning language at the same time with my favorite Lingopie. On Lingopie, you can watch authentic TV shows and movies on 9 languages with interactive subtitles. Just click on any word you
interesting.
Trial and a special discount for my favorite subscribers. You will find the link below. But today these grey houses are only part of the Russian cities. Young people mostly want to get out of these old neighborhoods they grew up in, and they end up here. The new
Oh, that's the new one.
I don't even know which option is better, to be honest.
Yo, this one's... I think we reacted to another person that said that this ones were the more advanced, not advanced, but newer versions.
These buildings don't make me happy either. Show me something that makes me happy this year. No, actually a lot of things are making me happy, just not this. I'm just afraid that in 40 years we will have the same old set buildings, just this time not grey but faded orange. Krasnodar, as one of the fastest growing cities in Russia in terms of population, is expanding a lot. And on the outskirts of the city, there a few years ago there was nothing. You can buy a new apartment quite inexpensively by the standards of normal city, but to get to the center or even just leave the area will be quite problematic. There are severe traffic jams at rush hour, but practically every city in Russia has traffic jams in the evenings. A lot of my friends call these neighborhoods mortgage apartments because this is how most of them are being purchased. In Russia, it's still more common to buy an apartment than to rent it. And if you're not lucky enough to inherit apartment from your grandparents in Stalinka or at least Khrushchyovka, closer to the center, you can get a mortgage for 20, 30, 50 years and buy an apartment in a new building. Mortgages is the base in Russia.
Yo, those were cherries, right? So you guys have a lot of cherries in your street? Oh, that's very nice.
One is afraid of it, no one likes it, but still everybody takes it. Because without it, you will not be able to afford to buy it. But still, your own home gives you the sense of security, and it is better to give money for your apartment, what is going to become yours in the future, than to some other person. It is quite convenient to live in this kind of neighborhood, just because if you don't have to go to another part of the city to your work, you can just not leave this place, because everything is so close here. All the shops, beauty studios and all of that, it is all being opened on the first floors of these houses. Tasty period. Oh, by the way, we don't have now Apple Pay or something like that, so I just purchased a sticker. This is like a payment sticker from my bank, and this is naked anime man. As for the parks and squares, like the big nice parks that are located in the different parts of the city, and
wow.
not all neighborhoods are lucky enough to get their own park to rest, and
that's
usually
nice, man. That's very nice. You guys have some little trains in their little parks, stuff like that. It's very nice.
it's gonna increase the price of the apartment if there is like a really nice park near this neighborhood.
Yeah,
This part of districts
that's gonna shoot up the prices of the apartment. So they look very Soviet era kind of apartment, right? Very different from European style or American style.
Finally got pretty nice, all thanks to a businessman who built a luxury park. The park became a hit. Apartment prices shot up. Locals worshipped this guy, a rare sign in Russia, liking a businessman. Park like this you'd only see in Moscow or St. Petersburg, maybe. Other regular parks around the city looks much more modest. And now I want to show you what the really nice neighborhoods in Krasnodar look like. The ones that most locals would love to live, and me too.
Wow.
But the cost of apartments in this neighborhood mostly unaffordable for young people. I used to rent an apartment in this neighborhood, and it was quite nice to live here, to be honest. Not only because it has completely different aesthetic, the area is really well maintained, and here is this new school building and a lot of shops.
Oh man, this area is like for people that, you know, a little bit of the upscale kind of thing. Hey, if you have the money to pay for an apartment like this or a penthouse, there might be penthouses.
And cafes and restaurants. It's just really nice, like, to walk around and to feel like you're living in a good apartment and you can afford it. A year ago we rented an apartment in this building, and at that time it cost 35,000 rubles, and I guess now it's gonna cost like 45,000, and this is already someone's monthly salary. It was a small studio with modern renovation, and it was very good option. Also, when we first came to Krasnodar, landlord told us this neighborhood is prestigious also because it is on the corner of more prestigious neighborhood. I don't know how widespread this is in other countries, but in Russia it's a common story that in the city center you can have a fairly large private sector, and this will either be old houses that the owners have refused to sell. But here is a completely different story. Who are these people who are living here and what they do? Then I lived close to this place. I really like to go and take a little runs in here just so I can run around and pretend like I'm living the life of my dream. If I could...
You know what, Crazy? That's a great... Man, I have to just give this to her because this is a great visualization. She's creating attraction for what she wants. She is. Wow.
Live in a house like this, so we will have like a little garden, and my dog could go and pee in there, and I will not have to wait for an elevator for 10 minutes, and my dog will already pee himself while waiting. In the most Russian cities, there are these neighborhoods with some luxurious houses. Sometimes they are... Who will understand these rich people? Sometimes they're located close to the rivers in these cities, to embodiments. Sometimes they're located close to the parks, and I'm located in some shit.
Можете сфоткать меня? Да, давай на...
Круто, сделай.
Bro, you're gonna fall, man.
Да.
Bro, my guy, you keep doing that stuff, man, you're gonna fall from the motorcycle. I'm telling you. Very good. Very modern, wow.
And here we are in the city center. A very big city in Russia has this nice center with the best bars, cafes, restaurants, and the most expensive apartments. Usually it's the old central street around which the city grew and expanded. In Krasnodar, this is the Krasnaya Street.
That's very nice.
I would love to live as close to the street as possible. It really feels like everyone here just have more money. Then we were apartment hunting. The agent said there was no...
Yo, she's honest, and she's making this YouTube thing possible for her, and I have to give that to her. She's making this possible to her. I wish her all the best. Hopefully she can achieve her dreams.
Went looking for apartment in this area just because it is like so overpriced, but maybe this is just what she said to me. I've been in other big cities in Russia, and I think Krasnodar has one of the best city centers in terms of authenticity. It's the blend of classic Soviet architecture, some buildings still from Tsar Russia.
Very
I love
European.
these cozy cafes, restaurants and bars in these old historic buildings.
Belarus.
If you go from one of these ordinary looking arches, you can enter the whole open bar spaces. There young people like to hang out on Fridays and Saturdays. By the way, if you are even a little bit curious about nightlife in Russia, just drop me a little comment, and on the next night I will be out filming for you. I'd love to take you with myself to the bar. I mean, I can't wait to take with myself huge pink camera and be embarrassed in front of all of these people. Bar and restaurant culture is not yet 100% rooted in deep Russia. It is still more comfortable.
So very hipster, right? Man, this hipster culture is everywhere, man. The hipster culture is everywhere. And I used to hang out with a lot of hipster culture and a lot of hipster bars and stuff like that. Man, I saw some weird stuff. Some of the weirdest stuff ever. I saw it. One time I went to hang out in a bar, man. It happens to be there was a room. And that room was filled with bears and dolls, and it was like 550 bears and dolls and toys, man. It was weird, bro. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was creepy. It felt like if you went inside that room, you would be possessed by demons. It was Satan. Satan was in that room. Incredible.
And cheaper to drink at home, and going out is more for special occasions. For a while I was even feeling guilty because of how often I started to go eat somewhere in the cafes or work on my laptop, and they are like, who am I to eat in the restaurants so often? I was not raised like that. Most Russians, like most people
Humble.
worldwide, work hard to afford their lives. While prices in Russia are still low compared to many other countries, wages are also lower. People live in ordinary green neighborhoods. They raise kids, taking them to the nearest public school or kindergarten. They work in offices, stores, cafes, or open their own beauty
Man, they
salons.
work hard.
In the evenings, they walk their dogs in nearby park. On Friday nights, they meet friends at a bar or head out of town to visit relatives or go to dacha. So it's like everywhere in the world. Surprise, surprise! It's funny that most of us live the same life, just in different decorations. Чубы. I personally love this mix of old eras and modernity, and Russians like to mix their cultural aesthetic with neon and new elements, opening cafes and restaurants with Soviet-style decor. And it's not just nostalgia, in my opinion, it's also the part of the country's past, which cannot be erased. I wouldn't want us to get rid of Soviet architecture entirely. I'd rather prefer the modernization of it, making it more comfortable and, I don't know, maybe like
Yo, what's up with that dude, huh?
a little bit more fun. I kinda like the atomic heart aesthetic. My mom is making fun of me because of that. She's like, we just get rid of all these carpets on the walls, and our generation just decided to bring it back. I'm curious, did this little city tour meet your expectations? Ever since I got so many followers, I'm really so afraid to not meet your expectations, so please lower them. I think it would be fair to show you in other cities in Russia. For example, there I'm originally from, in the middle of Russia. Every winter there I sink into depression, and I would love to show you why. So subscribe so you don't miss it.
Very nice video, man. I'm gonna leave the link in the description down below, now where you guys can show some support. Yeah, I like the fact that she had these she visualizing what she wanna be. Like, you see her walking close to these buildings. She gonna make it though. She's gonna make it. She's gonna make it though. I'm telling you guys, she's gonna make it. The fact that she's just thinking about these buildings, the beautiful buildings, stuff like that, and she, slowly she will get there, slowly. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think she's a very nice lady. I'll just show some support here. Hopefully you guys can support her channel. Yeah, don't let fear or letting your followers down prevent you from being such an authentic and awesome personality that caused us to follow you in the first place. Hey, 100%. I don't get hate in my channel, man. But I'm telling you right now, I follow my own lead. And I'm all for, people expressing themselves in the comment section, man. But me, I just do this because I love it, not because other people like it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the video. In the meantime, guys, I'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Peace.